and I won't back down. Hey, baby, there ain't no easy way out. Hey, everybody, thanks so much for joining us right here on The Right View. Tonight, we're joined by the CEO of Byrna Non-Lethal, Bryan Ganz. Bryan, welcome to the show. I had an awesome experience and an opportunity to work with your team to teach me all about Byrna. So I know a lot about it, but for the audience here today, can you give everybody a little bit of insight into Byrna, what it is, and where the idea for this came from?
Well, first off, let me just start by saying thank you very much. It's really a privilege and an honor to be on the show with you. And it is wonderful to have you as part of the Byrna team. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You know, like yourself, I have been a gun owner most of my adult life. But if I were really to be honest with myself, I didn't know how quick I would be to pull the trigger. And I worried if I hesitated, was that a fatal hesitation for me? If I didn't hesitate, would I be making a fatal mistake? And I actually had a frightening experience about a decade ago where I was involved in a road rage incident. And I learned exactly how quick I would be to pull the trigger, which was not very quick. I was driving, admittedly, probably like a jerk, but somebody got right on my bumper and they're beeping their horn, and I try to speed up and they sped up, and I slowed down and they slowed down. And honestly, Lara, I really got scared. And I pulled over to the side of the road thinking this guy would go around me, but he didn't. He got out, he pulled in right behind me, got out of his car.
Oh my gosh.
Now, I had my 9mm, my Glock 19 in the glove box, and I'm thinking, do I get out with my gun? And I could see in the side view mirror that he didn't have anything in his hands. And I'm thinking, if I get out with my gun, nothing good can happen. So I get out without my gun, and it was actually a mistake because this guy was bigger, younger, stronger, angrier, and he really bum rushed me, and he took me to the ground, and he really could have hurt me.
Yeah.
You know, fortunately, what he really hurt most was my pride, but it made me realize that if I wasn't willing to pull the trigger, the gun was really of very little value to me. And what I needed was some way to stop an unarmed man and to be able to hold him at bay until the police came. What I really needed was a Byrna. And that was really the genesis of developing the Byrna Non-Lethal Launcher. And, you know, you can see them behind me. This is actually my everyday carry. So it's you know, very similar to my Glock 19.
Yeah.
And if you have ever seen our website, it will stop an assailant. You'll be able to hold them at bay. These things are non-lethal, but they shoot either kinetic rounds that use pain compliance, which means they hurt a lot, and they use chemical irritant rounds, both OC, which is oleoresin capsaicin, pepper, and CS, which is tear gas, and it causes temporary blindness. People are, you know, their skin is on fire. They're in respiratory distress. Most people will drop whatever they're holding. Most people actually get to the ground because they, you know, their eyes are shut. So it is very, very effective. And, you know, I started this business 6 years ago now. We've sold about 550,000 of these non-lethal guns. And we've had reports of almost 5,000 people using them to stop a home invasion, to thwart a mugging,
Wow.
to prevent a carjacking, and all without a single life being lost or taken.
Well, and by the way, I'd never heard that story before. That's amazing. And I think anyone who has gone through a frightening experience like that can probably relate to what you're saying, which is that, you know, you do have, if you're a person who carries a firearm, you do have a moment to decide, maybe not just the rest of the person's life that may be attacking you, but your life as well. Because, you know, whenever you're going to use a firearm, there is going to come into play some sort of a you know, situation where you're probably going to end up in a courtroom. If you know, aim and shoot somebody and it is a lethal shot, you have killed someone. And that's something that not only do you have to deal with personally for the rest of your life, you may have to deal with it via a court of law, and you may go to jail for that. And if you can talk about the reality with Byrna, it's totally different. I
Yeah.
think whenever I had the team here, kind of giving me the demo and allowing me to test the Byrna, they were telling me about the fact that, a handful of times people have been taken to court, or they thought they were going to go to court, and then as soon as the judge realized it was a non-lethal firearm, the judge just completely dismisses the entire case. It is a much bigger decision than just, oh, I need to protect myself. It can have impact for the rest of your life, and clearly for the rest of the life of the other person as well.
Our first spokesperson was Sean Hannity. I know you're friends with Sean. Sean
Yeah.
and I have become friendly. And I was down at Sean's house a couple of years ago, and we're out in the backyard and we're shooting. And I said to Sean, I said, look, I developed this because I don't know how quick I'd be to pull the trigger. And I said, I don't know, do I represent 5% or 10% of gun owners? And Sean puts up his hand. He says, no, Bryan. He says, I've got a concealed carry permit for New York City. So Sean is among that very rare breed of gun owner that, can carry in New York. And he said, look, you and I, we represent 90% of gun owners. 90% of gun owners live in mortal fear of pulling the trigger and taking a life. And then he said something else to me, which was really interesting. He said, I do a lot of work with the boys in blue. And despite all the crap that the liberal left give the law enforcement officers, 90% of law enforcement officers live in mortal fear of pulling the trigger.
Yeah.
These are not people that are looking to take a life. These
Right.
are people that are looking to protect others. And what we're doing is we're giving them a way to protect the community, to protect themselves without the necessity of taking a life. And you asked this question about, what happens when you use it? You are allowed to use non-lethal force against non-lethal force. You don't need to be, he had a baseball bat, so I have to have a baseball bat. If this guy is bigger and stronger than you can use any manner of non-lethal force. And as I said, our launchers have been used upwards of 4,000, I think coming in on 5,000 times now. Not a single person has gone to jail for the use of a Byrna in a legitimate case of self-defense. And what we say to folks is if you get arrested for using the Byrna in a legitimate case of self-defense, we will defend you.
Wow.
Now, invariably, we get somebody who says, I was taken to jail, and we say, send us the police report. And it's some guy that shot some teenagers who were walking on his lawn. And I said, well, this doesn't really qualify as a legitimate case of self-defense. But
Right.
if you use non-lethal force, you are safe from the law.
Yeah. And the way it all works is, if anyone has ever experienced or seen people experience having to go through training, whether it's military training, law enforcement training, and they have to go in and deal with, some sort of like tear gas type thing.
Mm.
As you're saying, this will take you down. I mean, this is the goal of the Byrna, is not to injure someone, right? It is so that you have a moment to get out of a bad situation. If you find yourself in, God forbid, in a situation like you did with this guy coming at you on the side of a road, if you shoot the Byrna, you don't even have to shoot it at them. You shoot it at their feet, and it explodes the little capsule. Then that person is incapacitated for long enough that you can get in your car and you can get out of there, right? So I found that to be really interesting, and honestly, like, such a great idea. I don't know why no one else thought of this. So kudos to you. But you just talked about law enforcement. I know you're trying to get these in the hands of law enforcement. I know some law enforcement agencies already use this. What's that relationship been like?
Well, you know what? Law enforcement is interesting because it is a very, very fragmented market in the United States. There's 18,500 agencies. Every agency makes their own purchasing decisions. Nobody buys anything without a live fire demonstration. And then on top of that, you've got political considerations and budgetary considerations and bureaucratic considerations. So we have not really focused on law enforcement. That said, we sell about 300 U.S. law enforcement agencies, probably another 100 globally. In fact, last year, we were approached by a group of sheriffs at the border. They were part of Governor Abbott's Project Lone Star.
Mm.
And when Governor Abbott brought these volunteer sheriffs in to protect the border in Texas, he said to them, only one rule: don't kill anybody at the border because the press would be all over this.
Right.
So they found, unbeknownst to us, one of them found a Byrna, and they started outfitting these sheriffs with Byrnas. And then we got a call explaining what they were doing and saying, look, we've got a number of sheriffs that can't afford to buy the Byrna. Would you donate some? Which, of course, we did. And they were so great. They had us come to the border. They took us out on the boats in the river, and we spent a whole day with them as these incredibly brave sheriffs in Texas were protecting the border. So we're now hopeful that we'll be able to transition to Tom Homan's Customs and Border Protection,
Wow.
because it is the ideal situation. There are some, rough hombres that are coming across the border. By the same token, you really don't want to be taking lives at the border because it is just going to inflame the situation.
Right.
So law enforcement is an important part of our business, and it does give us credibility, but our primary focus is protecting civilians.
Hey everybody, Lara Trump here. Imagine you or your loved ones facing a threat. Your instinct might be to use lethal force, but considering a safer and less lethal alternative first avoids legal complications associated with firearms. As a gun owner, I advocate for having options, and Byrna is a leading choice in less lethal self-defense. Proudly assembled in Fort Wayne, Indiana, Byrna's less lethal pistol launcher, loaded with tear gas and kinetic ammunition, can incapacitate an attacker for up to 40 minutes. This gives you plenty of time to escape or seek help while minimizing the chances of permanent harm. Byrna isn't just about averting tragedy. It actively saves lives without the repercussions of lethal force. Legal in all 50 states and requiring no background checks, Byrna has sold over 500,000 units, and it can be shipped directly to your door. After personally testing the Byrna pistol, I was honestly impressed by its power and its total ease of use, prompting me to purchase units for my own family and friends. Visit Byrna.com/Lara for 10% off my specially curated bundles. That's BYRNA.com/LARA. Stay safe, America. MyPillow is excited to announce that they're extending the mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. This is your chance to grab some incredible deals on some of MyPillow's most popular and newly released items. For example, you can save $40 on the new spring MyPillow bed sheets, available in any size and any color. These luxurious sheets are designed for maximum comfort and breathability, perfect for a great night's sleep. Looking for a meaningful gift? You can save 30% on the brand new My Crosses, inspired by the one Mike has worn every day over the last 20 years. These beautifully crafted crosses come in both men's and women's designs and are proudly made in the USA. Get the 6-piece bath or kitchen towel set for just $29.98. Initial quantities are extremely limited, so don't wait. And don't forget about the best-selling standard MyPillow, now just $14.98. Plus, orders over $75 ship free. Go to mypillow.com and use promo code TRUMP or call 800-624-3945 to order now. I know that you are also producing these, I believe, in America, correct, to align with President Trump's agenda. And if that is true, and I think it is, why is that an important thing to do for you?
Well, first off, it's an important thing to do because we wholeheartedly subscribe to President Trump's vision of Made in America. So, and it is not just the right thing to do politically, it's the smart thing to do. I think what happened was during the COVID pandemic and the supply chain disruption, the whole supply chain broke down. We had container costs that went from $3,000 a container to $30,000 a container.
Wow.
We had no idea how long it would take to ship product from overseas to the US. Sometimes it was 45 days. Sometimes it was 145 days. It ended up shutting our factory down. It put people out of work. There were some months where I don't know, we didn't work 17 out of the 30 days because of the overseas supply. So it was at that point that we said, you know what? We want this made in America. We manufacture in Fort Wayne, Indiana, so 100% of everything we do is assembled in Fort Wayne. But we had a supply chain that sort of spanned the earth. And now we're up to 67% of our components are made in America. We have committed to having virtually all of our components made in America. And it is, frankly, it's only marginally more expensive. It's not dramatically more expensive, but the soft costs of making things overseas, the supply interruption, the shutting down of the factories, and honestly, your father-in-law, has is teaching a master class in tariffs because what he's done is he said to everybody, "There's uncertainty. If you want certainty, produce in the U.S." So when we a couple of years ago made the decision to get out of China, my supply chain guy said to me, "Well, how about Mexico?" And I said, "You know what? Donald Trump has won the election. There may be tariffs on Mexico. Why don't we stick with
Wow.
America?"
Smart
So
guy.
I think the guy's been brilliant in terms of the way he's handled this.
Yeah. Well, and listen, the goal, Brian, is to get more people, more businesses, more companies to do exactly what you did and say, you know what? I think I'm going to try to stay, in the United States. I think I want to do everything here. I want to make it in the United States. I want to, source from the United States, which we can do. And from a national security standpoint as well, I think that is the smartest thing we can possibly do to make sure that we are self-reliant, that we don't need to get anything from any other country. As you just pointed out during COVID, I think it was terrifying to a lot of people to realize how much of our pharmaceuticals we got from overseas, how much of our necessary items we got from overseas. These are things that people can't live without. That's a really scary place to find yourself as a country to say, oh, we're so heavily reliant on other people. We want to do it here in America. So thank you. I agree with you. I think when this term is said and done and it's in the history books, I do think the master class in tariffs will be part of it. And I think anyone who questions Donald Trump will very soon see the genius in what he's doing. Let me ask you about the name though, Byrna. Your name is Bryan, Bryan. Byrna, Byrna. Did we do a little play on words there? What did we
Yeah,
do?
it's an anagram.
Oh,
Sean, the first time I met Sean Hannity, he said, "Wow, that is quite egotistical of you, Brian, to name the company after yourself." But interestingly, when we developed this product, one of our engineers said, "We should call it a burner, Burner, because the effect is it really burns your skin, it burns your eyes, it burns your throat."
yeah.
But when you Google Byrna, there's 43 million results. So we tried to come up with some clever way of saying burner. And, in Boston, we kind of have an accent here and we don't say burner. We say it's a Byrna. It's a pitcha.
That's so
So that was
funny.
the origin of the naming of the company.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, you know what? I didn't notice until we were talking right now. I was like, wait a minute. There's a lot of similarity there. So I'm glad I figured that one out. Look, if anyone is watching right now and they want to pick this up, they want to learn more, where can they go to get a full download on the available options?
Okay, so we sell both online and in stores. If you come to our website, it is, as you said, Byrna, Byrna.com. There are no background checks. There are no waiting periods. There are no licenses that are needed. We ship out same day. It is legal in all 50 states. There are certain municipalities where it's not legal. You can probably guess where they are: New
Mm.
York City, Washington, D.C., San Francisco. And the chemical irritant rounds are not legal everywhere, but you can get them with the kinetic rounds. So that's byrna.com. It's also available on Amazon. And we are in, as they say, in the fine Bass Pro stores and Cabela's and Sportsman's Warehouse. So if you go to our website, you can go online and go to the dealer locator, and you can find a store near you. And a number of these stores, including several of our own retail stores, have a shooting lane, so you can experience it.
Oh, nice. Well, and
because
I can tell you, by the way, firsthand from doing it myself, it is very similar to a gun, except there's no recoil, and I think it's a lot more steady and easy to shoot, to be honest with you, than a standard like Glock pistol or something would be.
yeah, I'm dramatically more accurate with my Byrna than I am with my Glock 19 for exactly that reason. There's no recoil. You can put a round in the same hole, empty the magazine and hit the same hole over and over and over
Yeah,
again. But there's kind of an aha moment when you fire the Byrna because for most gun owners, and Laura, I'd love to get your take on this. Most gun owners look at it initially think this is a toy. This is not going to stop somebody. And then when you fire it and you feel the power at which it hits
right.
the target, you say, no, no, I don't want to be on the receiving end of this. This is a very serious weapon. Was
Yes.
that your experience?
100% my experience. Yeah, there's a lot of power there. There's the CO2 cartridge that you put in the bottom, and that's the propellant for it. But yeah, I mean the target, I don't know, we probably had it 15, 20 feet away from me. And you think about if you were in a real life scenario like that may be the distance you would be from someone. I would certainly not want to have been downrange and even come close to receiving any of that because as it hit the target, I mean, it had a lot of power.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're exactly right. I think the product you've designed is so smart, and I think that a lot of people would be a lot more comfortable having this in their home, this in their car, this as part of their day-to-day routine and something available to them than they ever would be to have a gun out. It is still a weapon, but it is non-lethal, which I think the whole point of all of it and how you started this interview saying that most people don't know if you found yourself in a situation like that, could you actually pull the trigger? And I think Sean Hannity's probably
Yeah.
exactly right. I think more of us than fewer of us feel like we're not sure what we would do.
And
And if you feel that way, then this is a smart way to go.
and you don't need to have an either or situation.
Yeah.
So I still have all my guns. When I am in my car, I still have my Glock 19 in the glove box. I just have my Byrna in the side pocket.
Hmm.
So if I'm facing a lethal threat, I will use lethal force.
Yeah.
But if I'm facing a non-lethal threat, then I will use non-lethal force. And it is accurate to 60 feet. So you've got plenty of standoff distance. And
Yeah.
just one correction, the CO2 actually goes in the front of the launcher.
Oh,
We have the magazine in the bottom, like a normal.
there you go. You would
uh,
know. You would know better than I. By the way, if anybody out there wants 10% off a custom curated bundle, you can go to Byrna.com/LARA, Lara, for 10% off that. You guys were very nice to give that to the audience, Bryan. Well, listen, thank you so much for taking a little time to explain it, introduce it to people, because I don't know that many people, I mean, look, you've sold over 500,000, but there are a lot of people out there,
yeah.
this might be their first time hearing about it. And so we want to be able to give people the information, let them check it out for themselves and make a decision. But thanks for developing it, coming up with the idea, and thanks for spending a little time with us here.
Well, thank you so much, Laura. It's just a pleasure to be with you. I really appreciate it.
All right. Well, to everybody at home, as always, make sure you like, subscribe, share, and follow. We'll see you back here next time for more of The Right View. And I won't back down. Hey, baby, there ain't no easy way out. Nothing is worse than being on a phone call that drops. Nothing is worse than trying to text someone and you can't reach them because your phone is out of service range. And nothing is worse than supporting these major corporations and companies who don't support us. That is why I love Patriot Mobile. They are America's only Christian conservative wireless network. They use every cell tower out there available to all networks so that they have the greatest 4G and 5G coverage nationwide, and they support the causes that are important to us as conservatives. If you go today to patriotmobile.com/Lara Trump and use the promo code Trump, you will get free activation today. Again, that is patriotmobile.com/Lara Trump. The promo code is Trump for free activation so that you can get a great cell plan and feel good about doing it.